Hello, everyone. You're listening to Cinema 5000. My name is Mallory. This is my podcast. How's it going? We are getting very, very close to 6,000 movies. Yeah, how close? Well, the number, we're at 5,993. That close. 7 films. And I will admit up front, I went to a film festival recently, and not every short I saw at the festival was on Letterboxd, so in some ways we are even closer than that, maybe over it. Anyway, we need to discuss what films I have recently seen. We got 6 feature films to talk about, and the first one we're going to talk about is The Christophers from 2025, directed by Steven Soderbergh, though recently released in theaters. The tagline is, "Art can be copied, artists cannot." The estranged children of a once famous artist hire a forger to complete his unfinished work so they can be, quote, discovered, unquote, and sold after his death. Michaela Cole plays Laurie. She is the forger in question who has been hired by Sally and Barnaby Sklar, who are played by Jessica Gunning and James Corden. They want her, Laurie, to get hired and be an assistant to Julian Sklar, who's played by Ian McKellen. Little do they know that Laurie has a history with Julian Sklar. I won't say in what capacity, but once they start working together, they naturally discover things about themselves together, interacting and working together. This is a good film. It's a very nice film. It's very easy to understand the dynamics between artists and their history and the works and what led them to those pieces, and Laurie's own issues and her past and things that she's interacted with Julian on. You know, those are things that are deep, deep feelings. And how can she overcome them? The history that she unfortunately has, and how can Julian himself kind of collect things together to face what is his inevitability of the future. I like this one, and it doesn't feel very Soderbergh-y, though it does have hints in the filmmaking that you'll surely notice, his sort of traits of how his movies kind of look and play out. I don't know if this is going to work for everybody, but I found it quite easygoing, and just the way that it talks about art and people and relationships, and it doesn't really challenge the viewer a lot, but at the same time, it gives you a lot of feeling, a lot of emotion. So, The Christophers from 2025, directed by Steven Soderbergh. I decided to give this one 3.5 stars. I don't know if this is like top 10 material or anything like that. It is still fairly early in the year, but this is also a movie I think I would watch again at home, and that's why I think my rating is so high. There's just something about this movie that was so enjoyable. It's not necessarily a comedy. It's not necessarily a drama. It's kind of just a movie about people and the things they go through. So I definitely would recommend The Christophers. Now, so I go to the Independent Film Festival of Boston, which is usually the last week in April, sort of always goes into May, or not. It's usually a week long, and I've been going to the festival since its first year in 2003. The very first year of the festival, I discovered this festival through an advertisement in the back of Entertainment Weekly. I just saw this little ad and I was like, oh, there's a film festival in Boston. Maybe I will just go. I was 18 and I just got on the bus. I went with my sister. She and I had gone to Boston many times for like music lessons and such, and youth orchestra. And we just went and we were like, yeah, we're going to a film festival. I had never been to Somerville before. And every year that the festival has existed, most of the films that they show are at the Somerville Theater in Davis Square in Somerville, and it's a really nice little area just to hang out if you're not watching a movie, and it's a great place to watch a movie too. The Somerville Theater, if you've never been and you live in the Boston area, check it out. They have a really great program and they have awesome projectors. So I went the Friday of the festival, which it started on a Wednesday and ended on a Wednesday, so it's a week this past year, and I've gone a lot of years. Not every year. There were a couple years I couldn't go because of life, and then I was in college in Chicago for a couple years, but I have been going so long, so I know the ins and outs of the festival and how things are. But the Friday night I went and I saw a shorts package that was narrative short films, and that was at the Somerville Theater. And then right as it was over, I hopped on the Red Line in Davis Square down to Harvard Square to the Brattle Theater. The Brattle Theater is a just great place to see a movie. If you've also never been there, check it out. They have a really extensive and varied repertory program, and the Brattle Theater is run by very nice people, so I would recommend checking that out. Like, if you could go someplace in the Boston area like once to see a movie that I would recommend, I would say the Brattle, just because the history of it is just so wonderful. And there have been times I've been there just to see like some movie that I had never heard of before, and like lots and lots of people show up. It's just really cool. So anyway, I went to the Brattle Theater immediately after the Somerville Theater to see shorts, to then go see the new film from Greg Araki, I Want Your Sex, from 2026. That is coming out actually in July. It was kind of fun being in line for this movie because there's a restaurant underneath the Brattle Theater, and people come out of the restaurant and they're like, they might just see me. There might be just like a sign, an invisible sign on my head. Ask me questions. Why am I in line? Because I had quite a few people, not just this night, but multiple nights that I was in line at the Brattle, ask me, so what are you guys all in line for? And so I got to say, hey, we're in line to see the movie I Want Your Sex. It's coming out in theaters in July. And then the lady would be like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, it was always women who would ask me questions. Anyway, the tagline, as I said, how far is too far? Or if I didn't say it. Anyway, when fresh-faced Elliot lands an exciting job for a renowned artist, icon, and provocateur, Erica Tracy, his fantasies come true as Erica taps him to become her sexual muse. But Elliot soon finds himself out of his depth as Erica takes him on a journey more profound than he ever could have imagined, into a world of sex, obsession, power, betrayal, and murder. So Olivia Wilde plays Erica Tracy, Cooper Hoffman plays Elliot. Other actors that probably know that are in the film are Mason Gooding, Chase Sui Wonders, Daveed Diggs, and Charlie XCX. Charlie XCX plays Elliot's girlfriend Minerva, and they're not exactly compatible. But once Erica comes into the picture as he's working for her, she starts to make demands of Elliot, and Elliot goes along with them. This definitely feels like a Greg Araki movie, though it feels a bit mainstreamy, I will say, way more than some of his other films. I think the movie is going for the sex comedy kind of thing. Like, there's a lot of sex in this movie, but it's nothing, it's all comical. It's nothing graphic. It's nothing like, oh my gosh, the movie went there. No, you don't get that at all. It's trying to have fun with this material and the ridiculousness of Erica. I found it amusing. I never really found it like truly funny. Like, it's got some laughs to it here and there, but the ending of the film, I was just a little bit turned off by. And then when I started to think about the movie as I was going home, I was like, oh gosh, I don't know about that. I don't know about those decisions made there. And it kind of gave me an icky feeling. So I'm not going to spoil anything on this movie. And I know not many people have seen it. So I'm just going to say, I Want Your Sex, just kind of not for me. There's a certain level of, not taste, but just choices made in this movie that just kind of gave me the ick. I had to give this one 2.5 stars. Like, originally coming out of the movie, I was like, oh yeah, that was fun, and I gave it 3, and then I was immediately home on the Red Line, not heading home on the Red Line, but heading to the bus to go home on the Red Line, and I changed my rating. So yeah, I started to think about this one, and I was just kind of like, I just can't, because I want to say 3 stars. If you see me rate anything 3 stars, that's a general recommendation. Like, I would say anybody should watch this movie if you have an interest in seeing it. Like, it's suitable for everyone, I guess, but, or maybe the audiences that the movie is kind of made for. But I have to lower it because I'm feeling like I'm just not so satisfied with this movie, because this movie definitely wants to satisfy, just so you know. Okay, so I went back to the festival on the Sunday, and I saw 2 shorts packages. This time at the Somerville, I saw a documentary shorts package, and then I saw a narrative feature shorts package. And in the documentary package, there was a short film called There's a Small Hotel. I mentioned this here because I'm hoping folks will get to see it and they might enjoy it. It's about the Hotel Brevoort that is in Los Angeles that is now an apartment building, and it is run by the actor Joe Dallesandro. If you don't know who Joe Dallesandro is, he was in a number of Paul Morrissey and Andy Warhol films as the hot guy, Little Joe, as he is known, like even in the song Walk on the Wild Side. Yeah, very prolific actor. He's done so much work over the years, but now he's at this hotel, and I think this is an entertaining little documentary short, and I say little just as a pun because Little Joe, but it's only 19 minutes long anyway. But it was interesting to see like how this old establishment has kind of always been like a place that people went to who were creative types to find refuge, and now it's truly a home for those creative types. And it was entertaining. Like, people laughed at some of the things he said, but I just found it to be very satisfying as well, and I was glad I got to see this short. And then from the narrative shorts package that I saw, my favorite short was The Xenogender, which was starring and directed by Masataka Ishizaki. It's about a man who is an immigrant from Japan who is now living in New York City. He's trying to date and kind of striking out with guys, but at the same time that he's having these dating experiences, he's starting to realize that he is identifying as a crocodile. It's very intriguing. I don't know if this would work for everybody, but I thought it was just a different kind of perspective, and I really appreciated that about it. So on that same day, that Sunday, immediately after the narrative shorts package, which I had to leave before the Q&A was even over, I was on a tight schedule, I head right over to the Brattle Theater again to go see the new documentary called Matahari from 2025, directed by Joe Beshenkovsky and James A. Smith. This does not have a tagline. It also does not have a US release date, though I do know that this played at the Venice Film Festival. In 1975, television star David Carradine came up with a novel way to forge a relationship with his estranged daughter Callista. He would make a movie with her. Matahari tells the story of David and Callista's relationship through the lens of their unfinished years-long film project, an epic telling of the life of the Dutch courtesan and spy, Matahari. What an intriguing and really great documentary. I don't know if the movie itself within the movie would have been that great. I kind of want to say I don't think so. We learn a lot about David Carradine and sort of the, easygoing and loose and wild way that films were made in that time, especially films funded by an actor for their passion project. And then when Callista gets in the mix of her father and all these people making this movie very clumsily, unfortunately, she doesn't have the kind of experience a teenager should have. It's the 70s, so there was a lot of older fellas on the set who were very much taken with her, and there's some things that happen that, in this day and age would not be acceptable on film sets, and relationships between Callista and these older men, oh goodness. And yeah, it's a film really about how these people have these freedoms to do these filmmaking, and at the same time, the parallels for Matahari's life really mimic what Callista's going through, and it's just crazy. It's bizarro. As a documentary, I found it very fascinating and very, very entertaining. I wish it was so much longer. And I didn't know anything really about David Carradine other than him being on Kung Fu, which was on TNT a lot. I don't know if my grandfather really watched it or he just fell asleep watching TNT and it was always on. And of course I've seen the Kill Bill films. I've always known about the Carradines, but not really known much about them. And Robert Carradine is in this documentary, and sadly he has recently passed away. But yeah, I think Matahari is a fascinating documentary. It's definitely one that you might go, oh my goodness, about. And I don't want to spoil anything about it, because if this is something that gets picked up, I don't know if it's, I actually really don't know if it has distribution for sure, but I would hope it would. But I'm so glad I saw this one. I made it work. I was happy to see this. And this, I will, I'll just flat out say it was my favorite film I saw at the festival. So Mata Hari from 2025, directed by Joe Beshinkovsky and James A. Smith. I give this one 3.5 stars. And I will definitely let you know if this gets any kind of release anywhere. Immediately after Mata Hari, I ran down the street. I got myself a slice of pizza from Joe's. There's a Joe's in Harvard Square now. It was a good pizza. And then I ran back to get in line for the next film, Blue Heron, because I knew this was sold out. And when a movie is sold out, you better get in line as soon as you possibly can, because if there's a lot of people in the Brattle, getting a really good seat is a little tough. But yeah, Blue Heron from 2025, directed by Sophie Romvari. This film is getting a release like now, and she's been on like a sort of tour of sorts to, be there for Q&As for the film, and she was at the Brattle after the film to discuss it as well. In the late 1990s, a family of 6 settles into their new home on Vancouver Island. As internal dynamics are slowly revealed through the experience of the youngest child, Sasha, their fresh start is interrupted by the increasingly dangerous behavior of Jeremy, the family's oldest child. I was very excited to see this film, but I think it just wasn't for me. There was a lot of ways that this movie tries to tell you things without telling you things, like not a lot of exposition in this one, I will say, and that's okay. I like movies that kind of are meditations on experiences, but I just felt very distant from this movie and what it was trying to convey, and I don't think it's really the movie's fault. It's just, I think it's not for me. I get the intent of what it was trying to do with the storytelling, but it just never really came together for me. And another thing I want to mention is that I noticed the sound design in this movie. It really frustrated me. I felt like it was very overly done and a bit annoying at times. I never feel that way about movies with sound, ever. Like, even movies that are just about the stillness of sound. This was a bit overbearing for me, and what it was trying to convey of behaviors of children and sounds and experiences that you have as a youngster, and then giving that back to the audience. It was a bit much. I don't factor that into my rating of the film, I promise. But I had to give this one 2.5 stars. Like I said, it just didn't work for me. And there's also a shift of sorts in the film that I just thought was not really a great choice. It further did not connect with me as a viewer. So Blue Heron from 2025, though just now getting a release in limited presentation in the United States, directed by Sophie Romvari, I had to give this one 2.5 stars. Yeah, just not for me, unfortunately. But that was my Sunday at the Independent Film Festival of Boston in both the Somerville Theater and the Brattle Theater. And I got a ticket to the closing night film. The closing night film in the last many, many years at the festival, it takes place at the Coolidge Corner Theater, which is a very big theater. Really good house one if you want to see a movie and you want to get the big experience, like huge screen. And of course they project a bunch of things on film, and it turns out that the movie I did go see for the closing night film was actually the first time an audience had seen this movie projected on film. The film was The Invite from 2026, directed by Olivia Wilde. The tagline is, "It'll be fun." Joe and Angela's marriage is on thin ice. When they invite their enigmatic upstairs neighbors for a dinner party, the night spirals into unexpected places. Olivia Wilde, who also directed the film, stars as Angela. She is married to Joe, played by Seth Rogen, and they invite over Pina, who's played by Penelope Cruz, and Hawk, who's played by Edward Norton, for a night of just getting to know each other. as much as this was like shot on film and presented on film, sure, it did feel kind of dim. I'm starting to feel like, this is probably a hot take, like, I'm starting to feel like it doesn't matter if you see a newer film that was shot on film, projected on film at all. Like, I'm really starting to feel that way about a lot of things, and just how, it just really doesn't matter. Just go see the movie if you want to, I guess. Yeah, it's a little hard to also see movies projected on film, period. So if it's not like readily available in your backyard, like, who cares? Anyway, setting the look of the film aside, I was not really a fan of this movie. It felt very typical, like almost cliche, in this idea of like how your marriage is, a thing that you might be stitching together, and then there can be like these experiences that make you look back on it and be like, is this even working? And this movie has like one moment near the end that's sort of supposed to be like a revelatory moment, and I just found it to not really work. It didn't really hit. And all the while, as this movie has been going on, I'm having to believe that Seth Rogen is not just Seth Rogening through everything, and he is really just Seth Rogening, and I found that very obnoxious. I don't think there's anybody really doing badly in this film outside of him. I just didn't really have much to really get from this movie. And it reminded me of other things I've seen before with, dysfunctional couples. Like, you name it, it's probably inspired by this. And Olivia Wilde specifically, surprise, surprise, mentioned Mike Nichols. Another thing, though, this reminded me of that I think is a much better film for like a small indie film that takes place in kind of a limited space, is the film The Anniversary Party, which has Jennifer Jason Leigh and Alan Cumming in it, and I believe, are they also co-directors on it? Yeah, that feels like a much better movie about these people getting together and just like having like this one night that kind of messes up and like makes them feel very differently about each other, because there's all these people partying together and they're all doing whatever they're doing, and then it's kind of like, oh, okay, oops, okay, people say things that they don't like really saying, and it just messes shit up. Anyway, The Invite, yeah, it just I know people were laughing the whole time and just having a ball, but I was just kind of like, yeah, this is kind of typical. This is something I've really seen before. But check out The Anniversary Party instead. That's a fun movie. That even has Gwyneth Paltrow in it doing like the most the most like messed up part of the movie. Like, she's just kind of playing herself but with a twist. Messed up, not really too much, but yeah, anyway. So it was the closing night film, but I'm starting to come to the revelation, I guess, or the conclusion, whatever you want to say, that every time there's a closing night film for this film festival, it's going to be the most average A24 movie possible. And I don't mean that to define the movie as a type of film. No, this is literally an A24 film. There have been other closing night films that are A24 distributed films as well. So I think next year I'm just going to skip unless it's something I really, really, really want to see. Because I was like, yeah, this looks like fun, but I think it's just not for me. Yeah, I had to give this one 2.5 stars. Yeah, The Invite from 2026, directed by Olivia Wilde. Oh, a funny thing. I had to leave before the Q&A was really getting going because I had a bus to take home. This movie started like half an hour late. I just was like, huh? What the heck? I couldn't stay because I had to take a bus home. I wasn't going to wait or go. Okay. Like, I can get easily to the bus, but if I miss the bus, I have to go to Logan Airport to take a bus home. I'm not doing that. Oh, what a nightmare. And I'd have to buy a different ticket. Ugh. Anyway, so I was on the Green Line on the way back to my bus, and there were these two young men on the Green Line who were talking about the movie. One guy was like, dude, I don't like it. He's like, come on, dude, you didn't think it was funny? Come on, dude. And I was just kind of like, you guys are just like in my brain. They got off after a couple stops, but like one guy was just trying to like, you didn't think it was funny when we did that, blah blah blah. He's like, dude, this just doesn't work. This movie's just not It's not for me, man. Anyway, I'm glad I went, despite not liking it. Yeah, it's just, you don't know until you know. But The Invite does come out in theaters this summer, so if you're a Seth Rogen fan, maybe you'll enjoy it. Anyway, that was my experience at the Independent Film Festival of Boston this year. We need to change gears. Let's go back to the cinema, the regular cinema, and go to see The Devil Wears Prada 2 from 2026, directed by David Frankel. The tagline is, "Icons reign forever." As Miranda Priestly nears retirement, she reunites with Andy Sachs to face off against her former assistant turned rival, Emily Charlton. Meryl Streep plays Miranda Priestly. Andy Sachs is played by Anne Hathaway, and Emily Charlton is played by Emily Blunt. Ooh boy. Also back along the way is Stanley Tucci as Nigel. Oh yeah. And Amari, Miranda's new assistant, is played by Simone Ashley, and she's in like a lot of scenes and she looks fabulous. She needed like a slightly bigger part, I'll say that. Up front, I'm not a fan of the original The Devil Wears Prada. In fact, it was on TV the other night and I was watching it and I was like, oh gosh, I don't like this. I don't really like this. But this movie, nope, I had a lot of fun with this one. The sort of ripped from the headlines way that this movie operates and talking about the runway magazine world and how things are not so great. I liked it. It worked for me. I think Meryl Streep was really terrific. Will she get another Oscar nomination for playing Miranda Priestly? I'm gonna give it a 75% chance right now because she's just terrific. She like hits every note correctly for this character. Like it doesn't matter what other people are doing. She's just it. She's got it. She has this character down. And this Miranda is a little different too. Anne Hathaway's fine as Andy Sachs. I don't have a lot to say about it because her character is just her character. It's just not very interesting at all. But Emily Blunt as Emily, she is once again just terrific. Like she is easily, besides Miranda Priestly, the best part of the original film. And here she is again. Like her and Streep, they're just it. They're so good. And I will mention Stanley Tucci has a much bigger part in this film, so I really appreciate this about the movie. The balance of where the characters are going and how the story progresses, I think was just a bit more solid. Like it really had something to talk about. And even when you're watching this movie and it's all like fashionable gowns and this and that, blah, 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 it really lets these people be people. And I think it's just a really solid, fun, good popcorn film. Good time. Like I look forward to maybe seeing this movie again in the theater. If I do, I think it's likely. But if I don't, I could see myself just, popping this on, having a good time, enjoying the story, the sights, going to Italy, blah, blah, blah. Likely place for Stanley Tucci to be. Italy, yeah. The Devil Wears Prada 2 from 2026, directed by David Frankel. I gave it 3 stars. Solid film. Spoiler, but not a spoiler. Andy Sachs' love interest. What a boring dude. That's all I'm gonna say. They couldn't have gotten somebody better. I just was like, what are we doing here? Was the budget that tight? Oh man, that was disappointing. I know if he was like maybe a bit more movie starry, maybe it'd overpower their moments together, and even Anne Hathaway, so maybe that's the idea. I don't understand. Anyway, I also laughed a lot during this movie. That counts for something, right? Like it is a very solid studio comedy with some dramatic moments. So Devil Wears Prada 2, check that one out. Mata Hari, if you ever have the chance to go see it, either at a festival, some kind of screening, give it a look. If you think I'm an idiot, watch Blue Heron or The Invite. Or I Want Your Sex if you're a Charlie XCX fan. That is the episode. I am going to do a write-up about the Independent Film Festival of Boston, my experience this year, and then just thinking about the festival and all the years I've been going to. And it's funny, I was cleaning out some stuff and I found a piece of paper from the very first year of the festival. Now, granted, I still have my original t-shirt I bought from that year as well in 2003. I've been going so long, but I could not believe what I found, which was an Audience Award ballot for the movie Soft for Digging, which 2003. That's 23 years ago. That was one of my favorite movies I saw way back in the day. I still think about that experience of seeing it, but I have posted a picture of the ballot on the Bluesky account. Wonder if it's too late for me to vote for that movie or not. Good times. But yeah, movies. Hooray. Awesome. What's coming soon? Well, we're going to hit that 6,000 mark, that's for sure. But I'm not sure if I'm going to get to the theater anytime soon. This is a weird time of like the summer where it's like there's movies coming out every week, but they're kind of all general blockbusters or maybe limited releases that never come to my neck of the woods. It's weirdly a difficult time for me. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Like I'm just going to have nothing to see. No, there'll be something to see. I just don't see a trip to the theater in the short term anytime soon, unfortunately. But I do have like my plan, my idea of like what movie I might watch for the 6,000 mark. And also my parents, both of them, have told me to watch the movie Surratt like many times. In fact, my dad was just on a plane and he's like, who would want to watch Surratt on the plane? Because it was available as a Delta Airlines entertainment option. But I'll be checking that out soon. I know there's other stuff out there, and I had just pulled out some DVDs that I had that are loose ones that are things I have just remarkably never seen, so I'll have some things to watch, but theatrical wise, I don't know. I could compromise and go see something. I do know that Regal Cinemas is doing like a whole month of musical movies every single day, something different, so maybe I'll do that. I don't know. We'll find out. Anyway, go to cinema5000.com for links for the blog, and on the blog I post the YouTube videos when I upload on YouTube, if you want to look for the podcast, is Cinema 5000 Podcast. You can also check out Bluesky, Cinema 5000, and if you want to send an email, send it to cinema5kpod@gmail.com. If you got any things you want to say to me, it's been a while since somebody's done that. But yeah, I'm Mallory. Thank you again for listening. I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye.